Here we go. Hello, everybody. I am so happy that you're here tonight. We probably will have a couple of guests pop in later on as we go through this. Tonight is fulfilling Hal's request for networking. I would like to let everyone know that there is a level 3 networking project as an elective in your pathways. So this will help resolve some of those issues. I do want to make this sort of interactive tonight. So I'm going to be asking some leading questions. Please feel free to keep yourself unmuted and let's talk about these things as we go on. As always, this is my email address and my phone number. I do prefer that you contact me through phone if you have questions. It always gets a faster response. I can go days without seeing my email. In the meantime, our agenda. What do I want to accomplish tonight? In my agenda, I'm going to go through the honest men again. And we're going to be talking about networking, the who, what, why, where, and all those sorts of things. So anybody who can tell me why we do networking? Why is it so important?
Interacting with more people.
Acting with who?
More people.
More people. Okay. Anyone else?
More brain is better than one.
More brains are better than one. Anyone else?
Brings us business. Business brings us money.
Okay.
Moving up inside the organization, also, talking with people who could potentially be mentors or things like that can help you out.
Sure. So you were talking about moving on up to the side. Oh,
Tim,
yes.
could it be that if you have something to sell, you want to network so you can find people who will buy?
That is a possibility, yes. So networking itself, right? When you network with other people, the whole idea is that it provides opportunities to learn from different viewpoints and different experiences. The whole point about networking is to make yourself better and more useful to others, and they can be of use to you. Right. So in return, you build your reputation as a reliable and supportive person through networking by offering your expertise, your information, the things that you have in your head and how you can help other people. That's why when I constantly sit here, even in Toastmasters, I say, you're not in this alone. It became my mantra. And I'm always networking with people inside Toastmasters and always trying to let people know that there are other people out there that answer the questions and help you get better, right? Because Toastmasters, that's the whole point, is that we want to help everyone else, regardless of what everyone tells you on Toastmasters about how, oh yeah, we want you to learn your communication skills and we want you to learn your leadership skills. It's all about the relationship. And when Pathways came out, this is becoming more and more evident. At least to me, it's widely evident, but to people who are just getting into Pathways and just starting, it'll take them a while to actually pick up the idea that it's about the relationships, not about the speaking. Networking will improve your interpersonal communication skills. It increases your confidence and it strengthens all your relationships. That's the whole point about networking. There is that networking project that is in Toastmasters in level 3 as an elective. And that project is designed to help you learn how to present yourself when you're going into these situations. You want to present yourself as a friendly, engaging person, and you want to be able to maintain contacts with those people that you're building these networks with. You want to engage and interact with the people all the time. You'll also learn how to acknowledge the interest of others and to be able to turn around and give your expertise in order to help fulfill some of their goals. And of course, by doing this, you increase that relationship. Now I got the phone ringing.
Hmm.
Forgot to tell everyone, turn it off, didn't turn mine off. All right, so we have the idea of why we want to network now. Why do we want to network? So who can tell me what networking is? What is networking? Anybody?
Are we talking the act or the
The act.
result?
The act. What is the act of networking?
Reaching out, interacting with people, creating some kind
Sharing.
of common ground or some kind of situation where there's a reason for them to talk with you.
Correct.
Sharing about problems and then asking for, if people have results to their problems.
Good. Vivian, you were going to say something?
It's a little bit out of the box, but networking in media is connecting to the world and allowing the world to connect to us behind the microphone.
Correct. That, yes, your thought process of being out of the box is actually the correct thought process. Yes.
Listening,
Go ahead, Reggie.
listening to the person.
Yes. Okay. So networking in a nutshell. When you get out there to network is the process of interacting with other people in order to exchange information, to develop the contacts between you and that other person, and to create some sort of mutually beneficial type relationship between you and others. Now, in Toastmasters, because we're talking about the Toastmaster world here and the project. So in Toastmasters, the further you go in your journey, the more often you will encounter the opportunities to extend your network and to practice pertinent interpersonal communication skills. If you are currently just a member in the club and all you're doing is giving speeches, then there really isn't much interaction. But there begins to have opportunity. If you become a club officer, you then have responsibilities and you have to interact with the other people in the club. So you're building relationships within your club. And then if you are the president or the VP of education, you start interacting with people outside of the club in terms of your area director and your division director, and you start developing those relationships there. And by doing that, you will then build more of your leadership skills. So there are some benefits to networking. You can definitely establish new contacts, but the idea is that you're building relationships and can give you yourself a fresh perspective on different things that are out there. You'll get new advice, you'll get support. There are opportunities that are created by sharing different ideas, and the knowledge between you and the other person that you're networking with. You can develop collaboration and partnerships. Now we're here in Toastmasters, and we always say that where leaders are made, right? That's the tagline for Toastmasters, where leaders are made. And when you go to these different clubs and you see these communication things that are going on, but you never see anything about where leaders are made. So how are these leaders made? It's through networking. It's through the creation and the collaboration of building projects that allow you to exercise your leadership skills. If all you're doing is communicating and just doing your speeches, then all you're going to learn is how to do your speeches. You need to get involved in projects that make things better. If you have a club that has few people in it, and your goal is to make that club 50 people strong, then you develop a leadership project around that idea. You get everyone involved and you go out and you do that. There is the leadership opportunity for it. And by networking with other people who have already done those type of things, you can then learn how to make that club successful and grow. It's the whole point. there are when you have the opportunities and you're sharing these ideas and collaborations, you can better understand the ways in which your own personal or interpersonal communications contribute to the other person's ideas and the supporting of what they want to get done at the same time as supporting what you want to get done. So it becomes mutually beneficial between the two of you. And it's important that that happens. If it's always one way, just think about it this way. If you and friends go out to dinner and you're the one that's always paying all the time, how often are you going to end up going to dinner? Eventually you're not, right? I'm not going to keep paying for everyone's dinner just because I want to have friends with me. It's just not going to happen. It's not mutually beneficial. So we talked over the whys and the what. So who can tell me, how do you go about networking? Anybody?
Tim,
Yes.
Hal has a question.
No, I was saying, I'm happy to give a version of this. It's
Yeah,
like,
Yes.
please go ahead. Speak up. You don't
you do
need
what
to raise
those
your
two
hand.
people are doing right there. They're introducing themselves to someone,
Uh-huh.
Yes.
right? And I think it's, you introduce and you create opportunities. You know, I don't know. It seems to me like a lot of times if you just introduce yourself to somebody and then they talk to 30 other people and there's nothing there, there's no future, I don't know where it goes. So, okay, now back to you guys.
I think it also takes like a person's preparation of being open to receive other people's ideas. Because if it's like, oh yeah, you know, that's close-minded, I don't think you can network.
Anyone else?
May I share?
Sure.
Let me think about it.
Get back to me. That's my friend. Okay. I think Nadine, I'll be last. Everybody first, I'll be last.
Oh, go ahead, Vivian. We got you. Go ahead.
Nadine has a question. Nadine, go.
I don't have a question. I was going
you
to
don't?
say, when I go out there and network, I usually go to the people that have a topic to share, something mutual that we can talk about. And then I introduce myself usually, but it's more like, oh, you do this thing too. Cool. You know what? I'm working in this industry and I know about this. How about you? So that's how I get into like the talking. So yeah, partly it's to have the same interest in something.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Vivian?
Now I'll really share. This is true. Most of you know I give talks out of the country in international conventions. And that is anyone's worst nightmare. Meaning one person per country. Meaning you don't know anyone. You just don't. And that's the name of the game. So you're like, what do I say? You won't even know. Are you going to be beside an organizer? Are you going to be beside, you don't know, or the keynote speaker or just a secretary? So what I do is I just make myself happy and I don't worry. Whoever's beside me, I take a look at them and I say, hi, my name's Vivian and I have only one question. And if you don't like me, I promise I'll go away. And they laugh, right? And then they laugh. I won't make you go away. I said, good. My question is, will you talk to me because I don't know anybody? They just laugh because I'm just ridiculous. I'm like a kid in kindergarten, like, hi, I'm new in school and I have no friends. Can you be my friend? I am serious. I just use my kindergarten ways and I say, I don't know anybody. Will you talk to me if I talk to you? And they just find it. They said, you know, you're so refreshingly real. And it's like a breath of fresh air. So just don't worry, just be real. If you're afraid, you say, I'm afraid I look stupid because I don't know anybody, then they laugh. Think about that. Stop trying to look so bright because they're probably brighter than you anyway. Really. In conventions, they are very bright. So I stopped trying to be bright. Just food for thought.
Awesome. So I look at networking kind of like what Hal was talking about. Because when you're looking for specific things, and if you don't have them, if there's nothing there, you don't know where it's going to be going. So, uh, when you're networking, there's a process to network on how you do this. So let's first think about the type of connections that you want to make, right? You would need to identify the areas in which you need guidance and support, right? Because you're looking for people to give you answers to your questions. And as you look to make contact with those type of people, you're going to seek out the groups and the individuals with the relevant skills and knowledge to give you what you're looking for. So you're going to have to be a little bit flexible. You want to remain open to diversity. Someone had mentioned about being open-minded. So you want to be a little open to diversity. You want to be able to plan and build the relationships over a long period of time. Networking isn't something where you just go, oh, hey, hi, my name is Jim, and then I don't see you anymore. That's not networking. The whole the whole point of networking is when you make that contact and you build a relationship with that person in order to achieve different goals between you and that person. The broader scope of your networking group, the more likely you are going to be to make the connections you want and need over time. So don't think of it as a one-time shot. Don't think of it as, oh, this is it. Here's my answer. I'm never going to see you again. Goodbye. It's something that's long-term, it's ongoing, and it's relationship building. The goal of networking is to get to know people, not necessarily just gaining something. You need to get to know people. That's the point. It's building that relationship. So there's a couple of things that you should probably do for yourself and for the others before you get out there and network. Number one, I recommend that you assess your own personal value. Identify the skills and strengths that you can contribute to that relationship in order to help others. Be willing to volunteer for projects that allow you to demonstrate your knowledge and experience, or the skills that you want to be able to bring forth to these other people. When you do that and you show them that you're willing to help, it coincides with the thought process of nobody cares about how much you know until they know about how much you care. And by putting yourself out there to help them, it shows that you care and you value that person. So by doing that, it builds that relationship, and you're able to give specific help in specific areas based on your skills and the things that you can contribute to that relationship. Number two, you should prepare for a networking event. It's always better to be prepared rather than just walking into one blind. So when developing your networking plans, I think you should consider what it is you want to accomplish. And aside from, say, just the connections you want to make, you should also think about the needs to make notes of your different talents, your different strengths, your skill sets, and the connections that you can offer to the other person rather than just what they can give to you. Effective networking requires preparation and practice, and this is something that you should probably be doing all the time. I know that I have been doing it since I was a little kid, and clearly Vivian has been doing it since she was a child, because she goes back to her kindergarten days saying, oh, would you talk to me because I don't know anybody. Right. So it's the same thought process, right? So you do these things over and over again, and you prepare. I always believe in the 6 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. If you walk into something and you're not prepared, you're not going to produce the results that you actually want. And then you're going to be like all these other people who go to networking events and say, oh, it was a waste of time. Well, clearly it's a waste of time if you're not prepared, because you don't even know what it is you want. You have to know what you want. You have to know how to go about getting it. And when you go to those networking events, you then approach the people who can fill that void that you have. One of the key points in networking, believe it or not, we talk about this all the time in other clubs, especially if you're trying to get people to come to your club in Toastmasters, you should have an elevator speech. Create an elevator speech, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes long. It's an exceptionally brief, very, very brief. It's an unassuming summary of yourself that is meant to be delivered to another person in a timely manner. Let's just, it's an elevator speech. So let's just say you're on an elevator and you're going up, right? So it's a very short period of time where you talk to somebody. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to introduce yourself in an upbeat manner. And that's what you use when you go to these networking events. It doesn't matter if the networking event is at a coffee shop. It doesn't matter if you turn it into a networking event at the supermarket, or if you actually go to a real networking event where everyone is there specifically to network. The thought process is the same. You want to give yourself an introduction, and you want to be upbeat and positive, so that the people you are introducing yourself to will want to network with you and build a relationship with you. Now, we talked about all these different things. So I'm sitting here in my head trying to think of how to sum all that stuff together. And I guess the whole point is that you want to communicate important points. You don't want to throw in a bunch of garbage. It's like filler words in Toastmaster where you say or if you go to a networking event and you throw in garbage about grade school and stuff like that, and you're not talking about the things that are necessary to build a network, that garbage doesn't fly, right? People don't care. They're there to network just like you're there to network, and they're there to find people with relevant knowledge and expertise in certain areas, just as you are. And that's the people that they're looking for. They don't care about all the other stuff, right? So be concise with whatever communications that you're going to be talking about, and always talk about the most important things that you want others to know about you. Now, clearly, I don't care if they know whether I was hit by a car when I was 6 years old. If I'm going to a software networking event, I want them to know more about my programming skills than whether I got hit by a car, right? So you see the difference in relevance and importance based on the event that you're trying to do. It could include certain things that you have accomplished that are based on your knowledge, your skills, and certain traits that you have. Whatever you do, you need it to allow it to be flowing naturally. Right? You want it to flow naturally. You want it to be a relevant extension of your own interactions with the new people that you're out there to meet. And before you go to these networking events, I think you should set a personal goal. Now, in my eyes, the goal is how many people maybe, or how many relationships you want to create maybe. Set the goals for yourself before you arrive at the event, wherever that event is going to be. And then develop strategies for achieving those type of goals. That way, when you get to that event, you'll know exactly what you want to do. You'll know how to do it. And then you go about executing that plan. For example, you might tell yourself, I'll talk to 5 different people before I leave the event. And then you should not leave until you talk to those 5 people. Make it relevant. Make it something to be your reason for being there at that event, and a goal for you to reach in order for you to accomplish something. If you're not having a goal, you're not going to accomplish anything, and the networking event becomes meaningless to you. Sorry. You should decide on your talking points. We've mentioned this already. Decide what you want to talk about and how your skill set can help those around you. Again, it's not always about you. When you're at a networking event, it's actually about the other person, but you get the residual effect of it coming back to you. So the process can be made easier by taking the time to prepare for the event and know what you want to do ahead of time. All right, so quick recap. We've gone through the first 3 sections of the agenda. We're going to go on to where to network. Now, who can tell me where they think we should be networking? Anybody? Unmute.
Outside the club.
Club, outside the club. Actually, you can actually do it even inside the club. There are things that can be done inside the club. So anyone else?
Yeah, but
Other
that won't be.
Toastmaster clubs,
Okay.
you know.
Hal, you run your own business. You're not going to always do it in Toastmaster Club. Where would you do it?
You're gonna be that way.
Well, you know,
No, it's all right. Actually, I don't network much for this business unless I'm talking to producers, agents, managers, those kinds of people. And yes, every once in a while I see them in person, but it hasn't been for the last 2.5 years. So, you know, what we do is we call them up and strike up a conversation and see if there's some way we can work together. You know, so I don't even know right this second, stepping out into the world. My God.
oh, pandemic problems, huh?
It's supposed to be over now, right, Jim?
You would think. Eh? So in reality, networking can take place at any gathering. You could network in a supermarket while you're shopping. It can take place anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? When you do it, the gathering, the event, it allows the opportunity for you to connect with other people you haven't connected with before. So there are several different ones. Let's talk about things like the social events, for instance, right?
Hey, Jim, can I throw one in? I know you've got preparation here, but you just said that, and I got on an airplane at one point, flying to Dallas, and the guy next to me turned out to be somebody that was in a similar industry to me, and he and I put together a business partnership by the time we arrived.
Wow.
Awesome. See,
yeah.
it works. It works.
So I don't know if it was a fluke or if it was just, okay, he just happened to have an interest in this thing we were doing, and we had an interest in the thing he was doing. But I think that business partner lasted for about 2 years. We worked together.
See?
So okay.
It works, right? Live example. There you go, everyone.
Eh,
Oh, there are social events, right? We all go to social events. It doesn't matter what kind of event that you go to. Maybe you and some friends go out to a bar somewhere. Maybe you go dancing. Maybe there's different gatherings that are going on, someone's birthday party, whatever. Right? The point is that these gatherings happen, right? And at the gatherings, they're organized to celebrate life's events, the ceremonies, and so there's common social events that include things like anniversaries, weddings, birthdays, you name it, they exist. Right? And when you go there, not everyone there is somebody you know. So anyone have a child in school? None of you ever had children in school before?
I've had
Maybe.
3, but
Okay, so
but they're all out of school.
It's okay, but you've had children in school, and Nadine, you currently have children in school. So when you're there, all of a sudden there's some event, parent teacher meeting that has to go on, or some birthday party where all the parents are invited, or a field trip, and all of a sudden you're meeting other parents that are there with their kids. Right? So you have a common interest with the kids, right? So you begin networking with those other parents. You don't just sit there in the seat like this, right? Oh no, I'm not going to talk to anybody. No, you get out there and you start talking, right? That's networking. That's the whole point, right? You get out there, you talk, you network, you build on common things. If you're trying to do it professionally, you would then take that same thought process that you did with those social events and you would apply it to whatever professional events that you want to deal with. It's all the same process. It's all the same thoughts and all the same methodologies and everything. They all work the same. As any principle, they'll work the same in any situation where they apply. Should always remember to be respectful of the reason of why the gathering is happening and be willing to propose or pursue any type of professional conversation after the event, not in the event. So you can sit there, you can talk, and you can introduce yourself, and you can find out what they are. You can find out what you are. You can tell them, like Hal did on the airplane, the found out with mutual stuff. If it happened to be at a birthday party, and they had the mutual stuff, they wouldn't have that partnership until after the birthday party, but it would have taken place. It's the same thought process. You can also do the same thing at community service events. Now, these happen all the time. There are service clubs that are out there. They meet on a regular basis. You have the Rotary, you have Kiwanis, you have all these other things that are out there. They all do the same type of stuff, and they all give you excellent opportunities to develop any type of professional relationships. And establishing a rapport with like-minded people who share a common interest can lead to a dynamic association or a relationship that will be lasting for years to come, such as Hal's example that lasted for 2 years. Awesome. There are, of course, the professional events. Now, this is where you actually going specifically to network for networking purposes. Right, so professional events allow you to, how do I want to do this? They allow you to cultivate a broad, diverse roster of contacts that are out there, right? There's a whole bunch of people that are out there, and you're finding out everything about it in a professional situation. So you're interacting with people within your own field of expertise and others who share your own type of personal and professional interests that can open up a slew of opportunities for you. Professional events may include different things like trade shows, conferences, conventions, groups at work. If you're at work and you want to learn about other sections of your work, all those type of things can all take place, and you're doing things on a professional level rather than a personal level at social events. And of course, then there's also the like we are here, right? We're online, and you can do some sort of social networking while you're online. It gives you the ability to connect and communicate with each other the same way we do here between me and you guys. Right? Social media can be used to increase your visibility and establish connections with those you may not have had the opportunity to do a face-to-face with. So it's like Hal was talking about that they call up and they talk to people, and they haven't been able to have face to face in 2 years. Well, none of us have, right? We had the pandemic thing that's supposedly over, but I mean, things happen, right? If we were all on social networks, then we could have continued our business, right? All right, we talked about where to network. Now comes the fun part. Who can tell me when to network? Anybody?
At any time.
At any time. There you go. Yes, definitely. At any time. There are a couple of things that you want to do in order to make this happen. So let's think about these different type of things. We talked earlier about preparation. Right? And because you want to prepare, one of the things you should do is to make an effective introduction for yourself. Your quick elevator speech, sort of say. All right, take the initiative to interact with these new people. Ask an open-ended question. In other words, don't ask something that can be answered with a yes or no. and then they walk away. Ask an open-ended question. And you can then demonstrate your interest by actively listening. Make it your mission to discover the value in each person that you're speaking to when you're networking. Every single one of them have some value somewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So find out what that value is, whether or not it is of use to you, and whether or not you can be of use to them and help them with their values. You also want to be able to help others build their networks. So once you begin to meet people and you get to know these people, you get to know what their skill sets are, and you understand how this new connection might help someone else. For instance, say Hal and I were talking, and oh, no, actually, you know what, Hal, I'm going to use you again. I'm sorry, man. I'm throwing you under the bus here.
Go for it.
But I have connections with Hal, and I have some friends and family who are in the film business. And I turn around and I tell them, well, you know what? I know the CEO of such and such a university. You should be able to come over and talk to this guy because everything that they do is in the film industry. And he may be of some help to you in order to get you to where you want to go. So you can take the information that you have on other people, and you can pass that over to a third party who might be looking for that help. And by doing that, you increase your worth to the first person, and you increase your worth to the person that you're giving the information to. Make it a point to connect people, and when you do it, make sure that you're giving something of genuine value that you offer each other. I don't know how to, oh God, how do I say this the right way? Generosity. Generosity is a very attractive quality. It is something special that people will always remember about you. So if you're willing to get out there and give, you're willing to help, you're willing to make yourself available. You hear it from me all the time. You're not in this alone. Contact me. I prefer you contact me by phone rather than email. You always offer the help because your generosity, your help, you're willing to be out there. If you do this for other people, they will always remember you. They will always cherish you. They will always be part of your network. You will be building relationships forever. And it's important that you have the relationships because that is what long-term networking is all about, is relationships. And it's the same thing with Toastmasters, although people are just now beginning to understand that. So you have this information in your head and it's all there and you plotted it all out. So now how do you turn around and decide whether or not you can be useful to somebody? Before a conversation comes to a close, ask how your skills, how your knowledge may be of service to them. As leaders in Toastmasters, I constantly tell people it's not about you. It's about the member. As a leader, you are in a service position. You are there to help others. And if you always portray that, even at networking events, it'll always work to your benefit because people will remember you for that. You can always ask, how can I be of help? Or in what ways can I contribute to this project? However you do it, just make sure that before the conversation ends, you extend your help to that other person. Why? Because you want to consider your future. Even if your new networking connections don't need your assistance right now, something in the future may arise. How many times have you talked to people, you don't know whether or not you need them, and then 2 months later or 3 months later, you contact them again because you need something from them. Has that ever happened to anybody here?
Mhm.
So I see a couple of heads shaking. So these are the type of things that can happen with networking, right? So when you building this relationship and you're making yourself a service, the other people are building their relationships and making their self a service. You remember these type of things, and you're able to go back and build that relationship and enhance that relationship to mesh together in order to make the relationship stronger. Make sure that you communicate your expertise in a memorable way. That way your connections will think of you when they need that help. Convey a giving nature. Please, I can't emphasize this enough. Make sure you are giving something to them without any expectations of receiving anything in return. Always be willing to give. You are there to be of service. When you're doing networking, other people need to know what you can give them, what you can help them with. That way they can come back to you and you can build a relationship between you guys. Feel free to distribute your business cards. Uh, Once you make a connection and you want to keep that connection, hand out that business card, request one from them. Make sure that you guys have contact information between each other. That way, when you receive a business card, you can write a brief note on the back of it as you walk away and say, this person does this person does this, and you have information on the back of the card. If you want to help the other person, put your own information on the back of your card. So when you give it to them, they don't have to write anything down. Help. It's always about the help. Okay. Who do we network with? After the networking event, we went through, you talked with all these different people and different things went on. You've learned about 5, 6, 7, 10 people. You got their contact information. You want to be able to ensure that you can have a sustainable relationship with the new and existing contacts. And this is important because you want to nurture these new contacts. So organize your list of new contacts and determine their preferred method of correspondence. Maybe someone prefers phone. Like I personally, I prefer phone, but other people might want text. Other people might want emails. However they want to be contacted. Write down their preferred method. And then be trustworthy by doing the things that you said you would do. Make sure that you do them and either follow up with a call or an email and make sure that they know that it happened, right? You want to personalize whatever correspondence that you have and letting everyone know that you actually enjoyed meeting them. You enjoyed the topics you discussed, and you can recap whatever that you talked about in order for them to know or remember what your skill set is. And when you do that, again, always ask, how can you help? How can you be of service? I can't tell you how many times I write these emails for Toastmasters and I get out there and I say, oh, this is going on, and your club has these things, and how can I be of help? What can I do for you? What do you need? What resources do you need? You're always out there giving of yourself and giving information and resources and making yourself valuable to others. You can use social media. I personally, I don't like things like Facebook and stuff, but it's out there. And there are a lot of people, the millennials and the new generation one, or whatever they're called now. Consider using the social media after your networking event in order to keep connected. You can, when you do this, you can sustain the newly formed relationships through social networking, even if you're not physically seeing each other. You can occasionally send a message to that person through social media. You can send the email. just, hey, how are you? I miss you. Uh, you know, different things like that, just to keep the relationship going. I can't emphasize how important it is that when you're networking, you have to look at it in terms of a relationship, not just what can I get? How can I use somebody? It's not about you using somebody. Networking is a mutually beneficial thing where you get to offer your services and help to someone else and you build a relationship. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to open this up for questions and answers. We've covered everything that I wanted to go over. So what do we have here? Who's got questions? We've
I
got 13 minutes. Yes, Nadine. What can I do? What can I do? How can I be of service?
Yes, I love it. So that's something I feel like I've always tried in just in relationships to be helping, but I got burned a couple times where I felt like I did a lot and it got just used.
Huh?
And then I get more like I just get more, what's the word? Cautious about doing the same thing because I feel like people take advantage. And how do you detect that before you run into that? How do you
Okay,
say,
so
yeah.
again, with networking, when you're doing this with networking, I can't emphasize this enough. You are giving of yourself without expectations of a return.
Hmm.
So if you're expecting something in return, you've cornered yourself. You've
Yeah.
hurt your networking ability because you're expecting something in return.
Right. Okay.
Networking, you're not expecting anything. You're there, you're networking, you're going to give. I promise you that if you throw it out there into the universe and you give, I promise you will receive it tenfold. It may not be from the source that you want to receive, that you thought you were going to get it from. It may come from a different source, but it will come back.
Okay.
Guaranteed. If you throw it out there, it will come back. I guarantee it.
Okay.
Hey, I just wanted to say something on that. I understand how you feel, Nadine, on that. I have watched, my wife is really good at networking. And she has like this whole network in the horse world. They have created all kinds of things. And I have watched while I would say she's had great relationships with 90% of the people. And then there are those 5 to 10% that just either completely take advantage or actually I would say their intent is hostile. And I've asked like 2 or 3 times I've seen situations where that happened. And she'd get off the phone and she'd go, wow, okay, all right. Well, now I know more about them. And those are the ones that then she would stay away from. But on the others, it's like everything she does is based upon exactly the things Jim has said here. It's an interesting thing to me that part of it seems to be you have to have a tolerance for if people aren't ready, if they're not giving, or if they try to take advantage of you. It seems like, and Jim can tell whatever his perspective is on this, because I'd love to hear it. But with her, it's like, that's just part of the game. Part of the game is you're going to run into some people who, who take advantage, and then you just go, okay, that's just who they are. Has nothing to do with me. And now if I choose to, I can separate, because there have been a couple of situations where she's just separated. There's also been situations where she says, oh, sure, I'd be happy to do that. And by the way, could you do this for me in exchange? and it's like, yeah, so then it's like, there's no question. But I'd say the vast majority of everything else she does is about giving and helping and creating opportunities. And the majority of the people are happy and excited that somebody was that way. So that's That's just from watching her. By the way, I'm not saying that I can do that.
It sounds really
It's-
tough, but it's great. No
Look,
expectations.
You guys, you've been doing this type of stuff all your life. How many of you have friends? How many of you, when you're growing up, there were people out there that you thought you were your friends, and all of a sudden you began to think, oh, they're taking advantage of me, and I don't want to deal with them anymore, and therefore I don't even talk to them. Okay, so you have these friends, and then all of a sudden you don't bother talking to them. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So don't think that this is new. This has all been going on for ages and ages and ages and eons of ever since people have been interacting with other people. You're not unique. It's not unique, Nadine. You've gone through this as a child already. Just deal with it. Just deal with it the same way. You're in kindergarten, right? And you like these people, and then this person is always here arguing with you. Okay, well, you're going to be an argument. I don't want to argue, so I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Same thing, right? But when you're out there and you're giving, right? Always remember when you're networking, the whole purpose is to give. It's not to expect anything in return. So if you feel like you're being taken advantage of while you're giving because of your good nature, then just don't talk to that person anymore. Similar to housewife. All right, Vivian, you got your hand raised.
Yes, question. I
42.
think you're familiar with socials here. We have tables in events, round table for 6, 8, or 10 people.
Yes.
Here goes. The moment the people find out that you are a doctor or a lawyer, they just ruin your entire evening by demanding free consult, by keeping the conversation in listing all their woes and expecting the doctor to give tips on gallbladder, kidney stones, and for the lawyer to give free advice. And that ruins your whole event. I understand what Nadine and Hal are saying. Those people are just rude, ignorant, and with no etiquette. Or I have come to the conclusion that they want a free ride, have no, even if the doctor says, oh, you can talk to my secretary tomorrow. I'll tell her to expect your call and you can make an appointment. Oh no, doctor, you can tell me you're here now. That's how rude freeloaders, right? The same thing for the lawyer. Oh, you know, attorney, my neighbor's like this, like that. And hey, you're trying to eat dinner. It's a wedding. It's a convention. So you cannot ignore them. I'm not arguing with you, but you're sitting there, you're bound to sit there for the whole evening. But there are some people who are really out to take advantage with no intention to pay, even if the doctor and lawyer has said you can make an appointment. I mean, take a hint, right? I understand what Hal and Nadine are saying. They're freeloaders, and what do you call people like that with no intention to pay a professional like a doctor or a lawyer? That would make a nice mentoring session, Jim, on how to handle freeloaders.
Yeah, probably. You know, if I was in a situation like that, I would just be upfront. Hey, look, I'm here for dinner. I'm not here to give you advice. If you want advice, come to the office and we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. Otherwise, let's just eat dinner and have some fun.
I believe you, Jim, but I think Nadine and Hal know this, and so do I. They're like, no, doctor, it's just a short question. They just go on and on and on. No, attorney.
Well,
There
well,
are just
well,
some people
clearly it's not a short question because you're still talking.
That is the way they are. I can feel for you, Hal and Nadine. They are just like that. Just a lot
We
of
just
them.
need Jim to be there as a bouncer. Yeah.
Show him your tattoo, Jim.
Yeah.
My bouncing days are over.
Hal, I like what Hal said. For once, Jim's not gonna say anything. I'll just say, I'd like you to meet my best friend, Jim. And Jim just has to stand there and say, what? What? Just one word, Jim. What?
Show them your tattoos, Jim.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Uh,
I like
I
that.
have to become Buford Pussert, walk tall, carry that big stick,
Wow.
walk in with the stick.
That's not a stick. It's a blank.
And then we're gonna tell people Jim's in charge of socials. Eh? What?
That would be funny.
One comment, Nadine. I have a friend, or she was my friend.
Mhm.
That's what I thought. I kind of like would call her every week. If she didn't call me, I would call her, and I would like find out, oh, she has a cold. Okay, I'll go and get chicken soup for her, and stuff like that, doing things for her. But then one time I didn't call her, and so weeks, a week and a half passed by. I noticed that, how come I'm calling her, and when I don't call her, she doesn't call me? So, you kind of sense it that, this person is a user. And to me, these kind of people, they don't really have a heart. So even if you walk away, they don't feel it. So to me,
Yes.
it's like, you're not losing anything if you walk away.
Yeah,
Well, that's not necessarily true with all people, right? Because I don't usually initiate conversations. I don't know what other people's schedules are. I'm in a different time zone than the people in California or the people that are not around me. So rather than taking a chance on interfering with those type of things, I just don't bother texting or calling. I wait for them to call me if they need me. But they do know that I'm there for help, right? So if they need me, they know that I'm there. But I don't just call and say hi. So I'm not like you, May. You constantly text, oh hey Jim, and happy Sunday Jim, or happy Monday Jim, and believe it or not, I really appreciate those, but I don't usually initiate the hellos.
That's okay, Jim. You have different personality than I do. That's okay. But I'm not talking about, I'm talking about people who really take advantage of other people. When they want to go Costco, they'll call you and say, oh, I need to go Costco now. It's like, I just got home. They just don't have a heart saying, okay, maybe we can go tomorrow. Can we go tomorrow? Instead of like asking me, it's more like telling me, oh, I need to go Costco tonight.
Well,
So
May,
yeah.
if that's the case, I'm sick. I want some chicken soup. Can you come to Florida and give it to me?
I'll send it to you, Jim. I hope they don't spill it in the airplane.
Send him some pizza too.
Yeah.
Will that help? Chicken pizza?
No, I got my new book. Did I show you the new book?
Yeah,
Yeah. I got the new
Flavor.
book. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm good, right? So I have the
What
new book. I
what
can
book
create
did you get?
what
Flavor.
kind of book?
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I bought that book because to me, a chicken is a chicken. It doesn't matter where in the world it is, it's still a chicken. So what makes the chicken different is the spices, the sauces that they use and things like that. And so I want to learn flavor. I want to learn how to mix the right ingredients to make the right flavor. And then
Great,
I
that's
can
a good book.
then I can change chicken.
That's cool. I have no idea how you do that with being in 14 clubs. I'm like really impressed. I really find the time.
14 clubs is the easy part. It's the working 40 hours that's the hard part.
Yeah. Wow.
One more thing I'm gonna say, for me, it was usually like not so much like personal moments, it was more like work moments where, let's say, I agreed to edit a short film for a person for free because it's their student project, and they would just so dig the rest of energy out of me to a point where it's like, and I think the hard part for me is not necessarily the not expecting part, but where do you cut off? Where do you say this is too much? Like I like to help you, but now you're going too far.
Okay, so when you're in a situation where it's beginning to drain you,
Mhm.
you've gone too far.
Too
It's
far already.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's time to say something.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Point them to editing software.
yes,
Here's a
I-
link.
I would now you're laughing at what Hal's saying, but it goes on the theory. It goes on the theory you can either feed them or teach them to fish. And I would rather teach them to fish.
Right.
You're feeding them. And
Right.
as you keep feeding them, if it's the same person, you're gonna get tired of feeding them.
Yeah, I got to the point where I got burned out and I would I
Yeah.
didn't ever wanted to hear the name again just because I got so mad at that person.
Sure,
Because I kept saying yes and of course, and then I
Sure.
wanted to be nice.
but that's not
Yeah.
networking, right? That's someone
Right,
that's
that is over that already. Okay, all right, never mind. Sorry. Enough.
Nadine?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's an important thing.
it's important. It's an important question.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Yes.
a good information that, this class given that he helping others. So networking, otherwise what we are thinking about asking about other person and then exchange information, but offering as a help to other people or giving what you can help them. So that is a good takeaway from this lesson today.
Yes,
Thank you.
awesome. You're welcome, sir. Okay, so
Yes.
we're running out of time here. So one last question. Who's got the question?
Jim?
Yes, Vivian.
Follow-up question to what the dean said, and then Hal replied, and Reggie gave an example. Most of the time, people who are in the business like video editing, I understand that. I mean, we're kind of in the same field, and we need people like the dean, right? And I know they're very clear. They say, I can give you free 1 hour, right, Nadine, or to whatever you specify. And then they ask for more and more and more. And you made it clear, I can help you. Did I understand you right, Nadine? I can help you. I'll give you 1 hour of editing or 2 hours. And then they use you for 5 hours. And every hour you're telling them, I was gonna give you 1 or 2 hours. At the end of 5 hours, they still expect that you will not bill, then they get hostile and destroy you to kingdom come. I know what you're saying, Nadine. It happens to lawyers, to doctors. It happens.
Yeah.
They turn it around and destroy you to kingdom come after
Not
they have used and abused you. Really, I feel for you.
Thank
It
you.
happens.
I feel like
Yes,
destroy is a tough word, but it definitely was a tough thing. So it happened multiple times. That's why I'm like, I need to like build this wall, but I don't want to be not, what's the word?
Gracious.
Generous.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you though.
I agree. I support you. I know you're Jim in support of people are clear. And you even see this on the internet. We will give you 1 hour of free blah. They get your service, then they get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. It's very clear. It said 1 hour. Alphabet, 26 letters, black and white, internet, emailing each other. Then when you say, oh, free was 1 or 2 hours, and you use 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then they bash you online. By the way, that is cyber libel and cyber crime if they do that.
And we said only one last comment before we stop.
Yeah.
All right, so
Comment.
with that, let me stop recording. Hold on, stop recording.